Hello and welcome to another album review. Today I'll be talking about In Heart's Wake and their new album, Kaliygua. I was pretty excited for this album when I heard Worldwide Suicide and Son of a Witch, but there are definitely a few issues with the album once the whole thing came out. Now, remember, I'm not a music critic, these are just my opinions. So let's go song by song, and I'll give you my thoughts on Kaliygua. I'm grouping Crisis and Worldwide Suicide together because they're both pretty short, and to me they kinda make up the intro to the album. But Crisis is cool. It's not a bad way to kind of kick off the album, but the guitar riff, while cool, it sounded so familiar. And I also found the emergency broadcast voice over top kind of annoying after a while. But then Worldwide Suicide, it's basically just two crushing breakdowns over the course of 2 minutes, which I love. I love it. That's something that I find these guys do really well, is breakdowns, that I feel like they should utilize a little bit more. But with that being said, let's move on to the next song. Hellbringer is definitely one of the best songs on the album. The instrumental works really well with the vocals, and they're just so hard-hitting and heavy and great. And it also has a really, really good breakdown. It also has one of the better choruses on the album. I also like the range of screams throughout it. I'd like to see a decent mix of highs, mids, and lows. And overall, I really, really like this song. So let's move on to Moving On. That was bad, even for me. Moving On is a decent example of a song with a decent mix of heavy and light, and I think the transitions between are pretty good too. They have a good screaming, singing back and forth partway through the song, which I always really love to see. And the chorus, I think, is one of the better ones on the album. Not the best, but it's probably one of the better ones. So at this point, it feels like this album is shaping up to be a pretty decent one. So let's move to the next song. Time Bomb is a fun song to jam out to, and I think the verses are pretty well done, and I love the transition to the chorus. The chorus is another really, really good one on the album. I also think it has a pretty sweet breakdown, so always bonus points there. But overall, I really like this one, and I think it's really well done. And it also leads into my favorite song on the album. So let's jump into that one. Son of a Witch is definitely my favorite song on the album. I love the vocals in the verse, and the transition to the chorus is pretty well done. And the breakdown is where it's at. Its breakdown has made it up into my top favorites. Not way up at the top, but it's up there. And here, I'll show you why. This song really pumped me up for this album. And the first half really lived up to expectations. But then we hit a crossroads. Crossroads, in my opinion, is kind of where the album starts to fall apart. It starts off with this really weird part, then has an instrumental that gives you a little bit of hope, and then this weird low spoken word part with over weird bass sounds. I don't even know how to it's so dumb. And then the chorus has a decent sounding instrumental, but I don't really like the vocals. And I found the feature artist there was really oddly placed, and I wasn't expecting it at all. And I also found the weird whispery part before the chorus was weird. It's just not a very good song. I feel like they tried to do way too much, and it just fell apart and turned into a mess. It's just bad. It left a really bad taste in my mouth for the rest of the album, to be honest. I got over it but I had a hard time getting through it the first time. This song is bad. Husk, I felt, was kind of middle of the road. The overall feel was kind of boring to me, and with a slight burst of energy in the chorus, but it just never catches my attention in a good or bad way. It's just kind of there until about the last minute, which is just a lead up to Nega, which is 50 seconds of annoying pointlessness. They don't really lead into each other that well. Nega leads into Force of Life decently, but overall I think it's pretty unnecessary. And also, I've never been a fan of interludes, so maybe that's it. Maybe that's part of it. But yeah, I found both Husk and Nega just there. Force of Life is one of the few decent songs on the latter half of the album. The verses and choruses are both, pretty hard-hitting and solid. It does have a breakdown, but it's not as good as I feel they can do. But overall, it's a decent song to listen to. Iron Dice is okay. It's really nothing special until the lead up to the breakdown, where I want to rip my eardrums out and set them on fire! The vocals are fucking terrible. I don't know whose idea it was to use that style of scream, but oh my god, it was so bad. And there is no payoff to the breakdown. It's just an incoherent mess, and I fucking hate this song. Wow, I got really heated there. It is a decent song. I like the verses are a little slow for me, but they do build up to the choruses fairly well, and the choruses are decent, so it's not too bad. I do like this song. It's just, not really one of my favorites. "2033" was an alright song to end the album on. The slow parts blend well with the heavier parts, and it has a pretty decent breakdown, but Nothing too big, but you know, nothing horrible like Iron Dice. As much as I like In Heart's Wake, this album was pretty messy. It has a few really good songs, but a few mess songs, like kind of okay songs, but a couple absolute stinkers. Crossroads, Iron Dyson, honestly a little bit naga. Honestly hurt the album overall for me. And after hearing Crossroads, like I said, I had a hard time wanting to finish this album. Even though it was one of my most anticipated albums of the year when I heard Son of a Witch and Worldwide Suicide. Um, but, and yeah, it's definitely fallen out of my run, or out of the running for my album, favorite album of the year. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you thought of Kaliygua, either in the comments or over on Twitter at ahump101. Thank you for watching. Leave a like if you liked it, dislike if you didn't, subscribe if you want more, and I'll see you next time.